this school board meeting to order. It is the reorganizational meeting, and I'd like to begin with Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Oops. Thank you. Good morning. I'd like to call this meeting of November 22nd, 2011. It's a special school board reorganizational meeting, and I'd like to call it to order today at 9:12. As we convene the reorganizational meeting, I would like to begin by an addition to the agenda, and that item would be a request for agenda item 2.0, and it is for, I've just passed it out to the board. The request is for a use of facilities by the Dance Academy of Stewart, and the request has been made, and they would like to use the facilities between now and when we meet again on December 20th, so I would like to add that as item 2.01. Do I have a motion?
Second.
Motion by David Anderson, second by Mrs. Hershey. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. Motion carries 5-0.
So, Mrs. Kline, where it says paid, does that mean that they've already paid for this? Okay, thank you.
Item 1.01, election of chair. I'd like to call for a nomination for the chair for the Martin County School Board for the following year. Do I have a motion for chair?
Madam Chairman, I want to offer a two-phase motion, one for the vice and for the chair. I'd like to enter the name for the vice chairman as Mrs. Sorensen, and for the chairperson, that Mrs. Hershey continues the position that she's in. She's done an excellent job, run us through workshops and whatnot, and I think that's what I want to offer.
So I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion?
If I may.
Mr. Busha?
Again, I think a change in leadership, I think a change in the mix of chairman and vice chairman would matter to the tenor of the meetings. And I think just to give someone else a chance at chairmanship, so I would nominate more Barry Sorensen actually for chair, and David Anderson, Dr. Anderson as vice chair. It's a substitute motion.
I refuse the nomination. I do not wish to be chair or vice chairman of this board.
Okay.
Do I have any other substitute motion for that?
Mr. Griffin, if we have one motion and a second.
It's actually, you're open for nominations.
Oh, okay.
If it were a substitute motion, you'd now vote on whether to allow the substitute motion, but really you're open for nominations
Okay.
at this point. And technically, nominations don't require a second.
Right.
So currently,
Given the status, because Dr. Anderson declined the nomination as vice chair, I think we have two nominations on the floor for chair, and only one for vice chair. So I think you need to take those just for the chair vote instead of a two-part.
unless there are any other nominations? Okay. Seeing none, then I will take them in order. All those in favor of Mrs. Hershey remaining as the chairman?
Point of order. I thought the substitute motion, or is this just nominations?
This is just nominations. Last year there was a substitute. You caught me off guard. I had to go back and study it afterwards. But this is just nominations here.
Okay.
So
And so, Doug, do you want me to take those separately?
separately and in order. Yes.
Right. So In order, we have a motion for Mrs. Hershey to remain as the chairman for the Martin County School Board. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
So we have 3-2 vote. Mrs. Hershey will then remain as the chairman, and that is Michael Busha and Maura Sorensen dissenting. And in favor of, we have Mrs. Gaylord, Mr. Anderson, and Mrs. Hershey. Nomination for a vice chair, then do we have any additional nominations other than the one that's on the floor for Mrs. Sorensen? Okay, seeing none, nomination for a vice chair would be for Maura Sorensen. Do I have a motion, and we've had full discussion on that. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0 for Maura Sorensen to be our vice chair for the upcoming year. Item 1.03, congratulations to both of you.
Yep.
Item 1.03, set the regular meeting dates and times. I'd like to please call for a motion and a second to set the regular meeting and dates and times, which would be the third Tuesday of each month at 6 p.m. Do I have a motion for that item, please?
Second for discussion.
Do I have, David, Dr. Anderson, did you make a motion?
Yes, I did.
To accept that? I have a motion by Dr. Anderson, a second by Mrs. Hershey, and any discussion?
We had discussed evaluating whether the 5, 5:30, or 6, if you remember, would work out better. But the point is that our staff is here most of the day, and we wanted to achieve a balance where the staff could be here, they could get home in the evenings, and the public was still able to attend. So 5, yeah, I still like 5 o'clock, and if you want, you can move open to the public to the end if you want, but some of the stuff they talk about is germane to the discussion, so.
My only problem with 5 o'clock is that I might have problem getting here from Jensen. So
5:30?
5:30, I would be much more comfortable with 5:30.
It doesn't matter with me. I do believe we should accommodate the public. When people are working, sometimes depending upon where they work, they have to go home, stick their head in the door to see that the kids are there from school, and then try to get here by 5:30 when some of them are just leaving the job at 5 o'clock. So I don't mind it, but I just want you to be cognizant of that fact. And, we want to accommodate the public anywhere you go at. Everybody don't have a job that you could leave and come any time in the day like some of us are fortunate to do. So, 5:30 or 6 would be sufficient, but I think 6 o'clock is better with me.
At this point, Dr. Anderson, we have a motion and a second for 6 o'clock. Would you like to change your motion or amend it? Or does the body want to move
Just
forward?
a matter of discussion first. I want to see what the rest of the board thinks.
I think that it might be advisable for us to stick with 6 and ask the people coming in if they're comfortable with this and if there would be a problem moving it to 5:30, and then we can get an idea from the public, because that's what we're talking about here is the public for the most part.
And it's not cast in stone.
And so we can do 6, and then little copy, we're doing a little questionnaire, is 5:30 okay for you, or 6 o'clock better for you, or suggest another time. Because really, we want the public to be engaged in this process. And for us, we're going to be here whenever the meeting is called.
If I were very selfish, I would say let's do it at 9:30, 10 o'clock in the morning, because I'm retired and I can get here at any time.
Mrs. Gaylord?
Well, and I think that considering the fact that our meetings always used to be at 7 and we did move it to 6, I think that 6 allows more of the public to attend. I think when it's earlier, I appreciate the fact that, if you have it closer to where, 5 is the staff can stay and remain, but I think that when we have it earlier, we have more staff here. When we have it later, we have more public able to participate. And
They have the
so
ability to take comp time for the next day or sometime during the week.
I would be.
Okay. 6 o'clock is fine with me. We just said we'd have that discussion when it came up at the reorg meeting.
Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, All those in favor of setting the regular monthly board meeting time and date for the third Tuesday of each month at 6 p.m., all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? We have a motion that carries 5-0 for 6 o'clock, the third Tuesday of each month. Item 1.04, I'd like to request for a motion to seek the board's approval to direct the superintendent to file the proceedings of the reorganization with the Department of Education within 2 weeks, to include the schedule of regular meetings and the names and addresses of all district school officers. I'd like a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
So I have a motion by Ms. Gaylord and a second by, I think both of you, but by Sue Hershey as well. Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Item number 2.0, which is the item that's been passed out to you, which is a request for, it is a request for the use of facilities. I'd like a motion, please, to approve that for this agenda.
As long as we can confirm that they have been paid.
I just need a clarification, and the reason this has come forward is because we have a lapse in time between their need for this and our next hearing. Is that correct?
That's correct. That's correct.
Okay.
And it doesn't conflict with anything going on with Southfork High School?
Now, it's been recommended by staff and approved by staff as a recommendation, so no, it would not then.
Okay.
All those, well,
I'll move for approval.
thank you. We have a motion by Mrs. Sorensen, second by,
I'll second, providing you can assure me the fees have been paid.
okay, and a second by Mrs. Hershey. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. And as a little cleanup item, I want to go back over and just confirm this. We have Mrs. Sue Hershey as our chairman for the year, and for the record, we need to state that Mrs. Hershey is added as a trustee. Lori Shikalo is removed as a trustee, and that needs to just be reflected in the record. So I don't think we need a motion or anything for that, but we just need that as a housekeeping
I
measure.
think she was
Just
removed
for
last
the-
year.
Just, it relates to a bank requirement, so if we could, let's just go ahead and have a motion. And then,
Move approval to
Second.
remove.
so,
I have a motion by Mrs. Sorensen, a second by Mrs. Gaylord. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. At this time, the special reorganizational board meeting is adjourned, and that's at 9:25. And I will turn the gavel over to the new chairperson, and we will convene in about 15 minutes. Is that good?
Yes.
Thank you.
Congratulations, you
15
guys.
minutes.
There you go.
Great campaign, Laurel.
It's probably the easiest one I've done, right?
take a recess.